Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Welcome to the Infowars Nightly News. I'm your host, Jakari Jackson. It is March 16th, 2016, and here's a look at our top stories.
Tonight, Donald Trump wins 5 out of 6 contests for a much larger delegate lead. Rubio drops out, and after 32 losses, John Kasich narrowly wins one, his own home state. Then, Obama picks a Second Amendment foe and someone who will support his war on coal as his Supreme Court nominee. A man whose path to power ran through the Oklahoma City bombing cover-up, like Obama's former Attorney General, Eric Holder. And
saying they're going to do it. They're preparing the public. They're in the New York Times saying we're going to steal it, we're going to take it, we're going to broker it, and actually put a Paul Ryan in front of the entire popular vote with no delegates. They're really that crazy.
Yeah, they're desperate. I mean, this is true political warfare we're seeing.
All that and more on tonight's Infowars Nightly News.
Fellow Info Warriors, I am very excited to be able to announce to you the introduction at InfoWarsLife.com of a new way to save time and money when you stock up on InfoWars Life formulations like Survival Shield X2 and Super Male Vitality. Just go to InfoWarsLife.com today, select your favorite product, click on Auto Ship before adding to cart, and choose how often you want us to send you another order. Every time you choose Auto Ship at InfoWarsLife.com, you get 10% off, and you won't have to worry about running out and having to reorder next time. And of course, you can cancel with one click anytime. As you know, I'm all about the idea of a 360 win, and the new auto ship feature at InfoWarsLife.com is a sure win for everybody. A win for liberty, a win for health, and a win when it comes to big savings. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today and save 10% on your next InfoWars Life order by selecting auto ship at checkout. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
And starting us off tonight is the scramble to replace Justice Scalia. As you guys recall, he passed not too long ago right here in the state of Texas, as a matter of fact. And we see this: Obama selects Second Amendment foe for Supreme Court. And this is Judge Merrick Garland. And he's Obama's pick to replace Scalia. And he has a very liberal view of gun rights, according to Judicial Crisis Network. And we see that he was the Assistant Deputy Attorney General in the criminal division of the Clinton Justice Department, and he also oversaw the case involving Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols. Now, my issue with the Oklahoma City bombing is that it was a very botched investigation from my point of view. Of course, I didn't understand this at the time. I was like in 3rd grade at the time that it happened. But now looking at it many years later, you see that there's Timothy McVeigh, you see that there's Terry Nichols. Now, the official narrative of the Oklahoma City bombing is that neither McVeigh or Nichols ever stepped foot inside the Murrah building. Fine, okay, let's take that at face value. But you also saw news reports at the time. I believe even the governor at the time was quoted on the news saying that they had other bombs inside the building, not fragments of the original Ryder truck bomb, but actual separate ordnance that were scattered throughout the building, which is to say, even if it was somebody acting completely independently of Terry Nichols and Timothy McVeigh, somebody else, at least one other person, was involved. So from my point of view, that is a botched investigation. Also, you have the eyewitness testimony of a woman saying that she thought what she thought was electrical work initially. She later on believed that it was some type of wiring for explosives. She said she was walking through the parking garage. She saw guys putting up various things. She just thought it was some electrical deal. But then when the next day or a couple days later, when the building blew up, she was like, well, maybe that wasn't just electrical work. Now, that's kind of hearsay, but it's something to take into account. Long story short, I don't think that was the best investigation. With all that said, I'm not sure this is the best guy for the job, regardless of his views on the Second Amendment. But regardless of who takes the nomination, the person who's nominated by Obama or the Democrats is more than likely going to be an anti-gun proponent. I remember one time they were thinking about getting a Surgeon General who was anti-gun. He said that guns were a public health crisis. Now, I do admit people are being killed by guns, but at the same time, before guns, people were killing each other with rocks and hammers and arrows and crossbows and a bunch of other stuff. So the gun isn't the issue. You have an issue with people committing the violence, not the instruments that they commit them with. Happened here at South by Southwest just a couple years ago. A guy hopped on the curb, ran over, 20 people or so. 2 of them died. I went to the press conference the next day myself. I saw the families crying on the sidewalks. It's not the firearm, it's the person with the ill intent to do harm. The same thing happened out in Las Vegas. Somebody drove on the curb, hit many people out there. It wasn't a firearm, it's a person with ill intent to commit the crime. So we'll see how this develops. They've already said that they want this guy to be in, at least Obama has, so we'll see what happens. Now, in other political news, Marco Rubio has dropped out the presidential race, and actually I'm very surprised that he made it this far. The guy never really had a chance. He's a freshman senator. Nobody really knew who he was before the election cycle started up. He didn't do too good. He didn't win his home state, so I'm surprised he lasted this long. But we see Marco Rubio, age 44, a first-term senator, has positioned himself as the only person who could stop Donald Trump, and he went on the attack, memorably bringing up the size of Trump's hands, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous. After not winning any of the early contests, Rubio's advisors and donors banked on him to consolidate the establishment vote, particularly after Jeb Bush quit the race. So they thought he was going to suck up all of little Jebby's constituents, only to find out that little Jebby didn't have any. So he was out there, the creek without a paddle. He didn't do as good as Trump, didn't do as well as Cruz, but he kept promoting himself as the guy to beat. He had a very memorable and not impressive debate where he kept saying the same. Obama has you guys heard the line. Christie made fun of him for that. So now he's dropped out of the race, and we've narrowed it down a considerable bit. I'm very happy we have fewer contenders. It's less people you have to worry about. And to be fair, as I talk about Rubio and Jeb and a bunch of other guys who've already quit the race, there are plenty of other people I didn't like either, whether they were Republicans, Democrats, or whatever else. There's plenty of guys I don't like in this. But I do like that Donald Trump is backing out of the next debate, because it really wasn't going to be much of the debate anyway, because we've seen the majority of these debates, or if I could go as far as say almost all of them, all they do is attack Trump. Case in point, the last debate, or one of the last debates, Fox News, they put up the info screens. They had all the graphics pre-made just to attack Donald Trump. And you guys know I don't like Donald Trump. I'm not voting for Donald Trump. I'm not supporting Donald Trump. But even I could recognize, just being fair and balanced, to use their term, that they were focusing all their issue on Donald Trump, all their energy on Donald Trump to just go after the guy. They said, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? What do you think about that? And they weren't talking about his policies. They weren't talking about his healthcare policy or his foreign policy, about what he would do in Libya and Syria and all that stuff, though they had talked about that in prior debates. They were just going after him for the most nitpicky stuff. This is what you said about so-and-so, and you have little hands and blah, blah, blah. So I'm glad to see that he backed out of the debates. And now we see that they're actually canceling the debate because both Donald Trump and Kasich are not planning to attend, which would have been a very snooze fest, to be quite honest with you. You got Ted Cruz and Kasich out there debating each other. They're both smart guys, but they're not charismatic in the least bit, especially Mr. Kasich. And once again, he's a very smart guy. But they were really banking on Donald Trump to bring in the ratings as far as that was concerned. So you got your cash cow who's going to sit on the sidelines. I think he's going to AIPAC. Yeah, he is invited to AIPAC. He's going to go out there with Mrs. Clinton. But as far as I know, those are the only 2 presidential candidates who are going to attend. So with Trump not bringing in the ratings, Fox just decided, well, we might as well not have a debate. And I mean, it was to a point, they weren't asking them many new questions in the first place. They would just keep rehashing what you've already stated, or attack this guy over here, or We're trying to find some dirt on you, so will you please respond to that? And pretty much every question related back to Donald Trump in some way anyway. Can you respond to what Donald Trump said about X, Y, and Z? And I'm not even a Trump supporter, but even I hate those kind of attacks. And now as we're talking about Donald Trump and his potential presidential victory, or nomination at least, we see a Black Lives Matter activist saying that we will incite riots everywhere if Trump wins. And this is the guy who has the moniker War Machine 3 on Twitter. He says, "We are fully hell-bent on inciting riots everywhere we go, just so you know." And this was his message out to, quote, white people. And this is Poe, and he's by no means a nobody. He has appeared on many articles in the Black Lives Matter movement and coined the phrase, "This ain't your grandparents' civil rights movement." Now, as I always talk about Black Lives Matter, there are two sides of Black Lives Matter, at least two sides. Yes, there are guys like this who are threatening riots, and you can debate whether or not he's serious in this type of statement, but there are enough people who will take him serious, so that's why it's an issue. You got guys like this, you got the guys who go out there and, stomp on people's cars and interrupt veteran ceremonies and all that stuff. But the flip side of that I've personally witnessed when I was in Ferguson, Missouri, you have peaceful people who stand on the signs, on the sidewalk holding their signs. They have candlelight vigils, they hold hands, they sing songs, have prayers, do all that type of stuff. That stuff rarely makes the news. That's why we made a real attempt when we went out there to not just document this, but actually participate in some of these events. And by participate, I mean actually go out there with the people who are marching. We didn't report that 1,000 people marched. We went out there in the march and talked to the people. "Hey, sir, what brought you out here today?" "Oh, man, I'm just here to explain to people that not everybody's out here burning the city down." And it's a very good example. You have I think we went out there with about 1,000 people one time on the second trip to Ferguson, or at least it was my second trip. And you had about 1,000 people walking down the street peacefully, minor traffic problems, granted you got 1,000 people, but all things considered, minor traffic problems. And the only news report that I saw the next day about this from other news agencies was that one guy got hit by a rock. And I feel sorry for the guy. I believe he was a reporter. As a matter of fact, I would have hated to get hit by a rock, but one guy getting hit by a rock, I don't think is worth demonizing everybody who went out there and acted in a kind and civil manner. So we've seen riots already, and maybe they will continue. I hope they don't. But even Trump has said he thinks people may riot if he doesn't get the nomination. So you got the people who I guess are potentially pro-Trump rioting, and you got people who are anti-Trump rioting. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to turn out, but that's what people are threatening right now. Now I have a story for all you Bernie supporters out there, all you guys who support socialism. North Korea has jailed a man for 15 years for attempting to steal a propaganda poster. Now, this guy's a young college student, I believe, and he was sentenced 15 years hard labor for crimes against the state after he tearfully admitted that he tried to steal a propaganda banner from a hotel. So basically, the guy was hanging out at a hotel. He saw what he thought would be a nice souvenir. He attempts to steal this thing. He gets caught, and now he's serving 15 years hard labor. This is socialism at its finest. Let's hear what the man has to say.
Worst decision of my life. But I'm only human. Never allow yourselves to be allured. This poor and innocent scapegoat.
Now, as I always say, when I was 17, 18 years old, I'd probably be feeling the burn too. But as an adult, I can see that socialism is not the key to all the issues in the world. I understand that there's some things about it that are attractive to people. I get that. But once again, you see socialist North Korea, they'll lock you up 15 years for stealing a poster. Here in the U.S., they've got, a fine, maybe some community service. But out there, 15 years hard labor. And he was a foreigner. All right, let's look at this. Deadly landmines bring terror to millions in Myanmar. And this is formerly Burma. Basically, they have an epidemic of landmines out there in Myanmar. And they say Myanmar is one of the countries that refused to sign the 1997 Mine Ban Treaty. And it's also one of the planet's most heavily mined states, with an estimated 5 million residents currently living in areas clogged with the hidden weapons. And this is the deal about weapons like landmines, because think about a war situation. So you have the sniper, you have the machine gun nest. When the war is over, those guys leave. And also while they're there, they can assess a target, try to see if this guy coming down the road is a threat. A landmine doesn't do that. They explode when something gets close enough to it, whether it's a child, whether it's an animal, it doesn't really matter. Also, these things last for many, many years. Yes, over time, the materials inside degrade and they're not as powerful, but they can still blow off a leg, blind somebody. I've even seen the horrible stories in Afghanistan, like they tied toys to the landmines, hoping little kids would pick them up. This is how sick these things get in some parts of the world. So you definitely want to be aware of this. And unfortunately, landmines are not only still being used, they're still being produced and used in various theaters of war around the world. And as we're talking about the war economy, they say if Trump wins, expect thousands of defense jobs to move to Europe. U.S. defense industry and national security analysts are expressing concerns that a President Trump might prompt Middle Eastern and other military allies to seek arms elsewhere, which basically means we wouldn't be arming our own opposition, because you guys understand how it goes. On Monday, we give them weapons, and on Friday, we want to have a war with them. It's been repeated over and over and over. I remember, going back to things like Ronald Reagan, Charlie Wilson's War. You guys may have saw that movie. We give the Afghans the rocket launchers and all things they need to shoot down the helicopters. And many years later, we go out and fight them. Even Mrs. Clinton admitted that we're fighting the people that we gave arms to many years ago. And it continues. It's nothing exclusive to that administration. It went on before and since. Now, as we're talking about crimes against humanity and crimes against young children, we have the actress Ashley Judd. She is vowing to combat 15 million forced child marriages. And this is something that even I didn't know was still an issue in today's world. You guys know I do a lot of human trafficking research and support of rape victims and things like that. But they're saying that they have about 15 million child brides, forced marriages going on right now. And she said that child brides are voiceless. I'm giving a voice to these girls, she said, the star of the 2014 film Divergent. And they say there are currently more than 70 million girls around the world who are forced into marriages, often arranged by their fathers, and expected to bear children soon after. And like I said, I didn't even really know this was an issue until earlier today when I saw this article. So good for her. As I always say about the UN, don't agree with everything they do, but on issues like this, I'm glad that they are taking the forefront. Now, as we're talking about women and various activist things, here's a woman who was a victim of the internet, and no fault of her own. I have no issue with the actions that she took, but basically she was sexually assaulted, and she decided to post the images online to, bring awareness to the issue. She was publicly shamed, and she has trolls coming after her saying that they're going to rape her, that they're going to assault her. They're hoping that worse things happen to her. And this is just a case of the internet biting you on the butt. Once again, no fault of her own. She was just trying to bring attention to an issue and unfortunately got caught up in the net. Now, let's say you get caught up in a police net. Of course, we know there are many good officers out there. It's shining examples, David Clark in Milwaukee, Sheriff Mack, Nick Finch down in Florida. But now we see a cop caught pepper spraying motorcyclists on a Texas highway. And finally, we'll end on the open road. Someone is going to die. Experts warn lawmakers over self-driving cars. We've shown you the videos of these things running into buses, running over journalists, doing all types of crazy things. If your phone freezes, if your computer freezes, it's not that big of a deal. If your car freezes, it's a very big deal. So stay tuned after this break. We'll have more reports from Leanne McAdoo and also Alex Jones, and you do not want to miss those.
I'm running for president. Everyday Americans need a champion, and I want to be that champion. I'm hitting the road to earn your vote, and I hope you'll join me on this journey.
Thousands of years ago, there was a basic form of chivalry. Our ancestors would hear the drums of war, giving the warriors of the tribe a chance to organize and prepare a defense. 60 years ago, when foreign air forces were approaching filled with bombs, they had drums of their own. air raid sirens. But in the 21st century, there are silent weapons for quiet war. Pathogens added to the food and water, and to the lining of plastics that destroy our vitality, turn off our hormones, and accelerate our journey towards death. I personally counter this onslaught with Anthroplex. Anthroplex is designed with known organic concentrated herbs to create the basic foundation to normal metabolic activity inside the human body. Discover why Anthroplex is turning so many heads today. It's time for us to take our bodies back into our own hands, and it starts at InfoWarsLife.com with Anthroplex. My fellow InfoWarriors, I am very excited to be able to announce to you the introduction at InfoWarsLife.com of a new way to save time and money when you stock up on InfoWars Life formulations like Survival Shield X2 and Super Male Vitality. Just go to InfoWarsLife.com today, select your favorite product, click on Auto Ship before adding to cart, and choose how often you want us to send you another order. Every time you choose Auto Ship at InfoWarsLife.com, you get 10% off, and you won't have to worry about running out and having to reorder next time. And of course, you can cancel with one click anytime. As you know, I'm all about the idea of a 360 win, and the new auto ship feature at InfoWarsLife.com is a sure win for everybody. A win for liberty, a win for health, and a win when it comes to big savings. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today and save 10% on your next InfoWars Life order by selecting auto ship at checkout. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. Your liver can be full of fatty deposits, built-up toxins, and even dangerous objects known as liver stones. We worked with the top developers in the field of detox to take tried and true herbs and other compounds known to safely cleanse the liver and fused it with the latest research and technological development on concentrating these ingredients to give you the maximum effect. Liver Shield is the only liver support product on the market that uses a patented Spigirex blend of powerful organic herbs that support detoxification. And when you visit InfoWarsLife.com, see the instructional video on how to do a 6-day liver detox. This isn't a game, and let me tell you, the results are dramatic. Liver Shield is totally organic and made of the safest high-quality herbs. Liver Shield is the only liver support product on the market that uses a patented Spigirex blend of powerful organic herbs that support detoxification. And when you visit InfoWarsLife.com, see the instructional video on how to do a 6-day liver detox. This isn't a game, and let me tell you, the results are dramatic. Liver Shield is totally organic and made of the safest high-quality herbs. But that said, you need to consult your physician before you do the full detox. Liver Shield can also be used daily by itself for overall upkeep of the liver. Secure your Liver Shield today exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com for the lowest price available. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. Let's go ahead and talk to somebody in my fellow state, formerly in Texas, FEMA Region 6. Michael in Texas, you're on the air on Donald Trump. Go ahead.
Hey, I've been listening to you for 4 years, Alex, and, I just can't believe you fell for the Rothschilds trick. They're putting on a show. They don't like him. The Rothschilds always fund both sides. The Pindar, Evelyn, won't allow him to take office to stop their agenda. Remember how the Rothschilds manipulated the British stock market during the Napoleon-British War. They control all the stock markets. They control the gold exchange. They control every government on earth other than Putin, because now he's paid off his loan.
Okay. Now let me talk just for a second, and then you can come back. The Rothschilds don't always fund both sides. In major wars in Europe, they did, and the Rothschilds are kind of the archetype of the international banker and what's turned into globalism. And I've made films about it. I've exposed it. I've talked about it. I've covered it. And we covered the whole situation with Jean-Claude Van Damme coming out and saying this. So Trump is different because they'll act like they're against a candidate sometimes, but they won't line up a bunch of money against them and pull out the stops and send mobs of people against them. Trump could turn against us. Trump has some problems, but they legitimately, I mean, I'm smart enough to decipher this and break this down, and I can look at it, and I can tell you that Trump is not a fake hope and change guy like Obama, who they acted like was anti-establishment. And there's just not proof of it. The Federal Reserve is giving money against him. The Pope is against him. The Chinese government's against him. The Japanese government's against him. Saudi Arabia is against him. The former president of Mexico is against him. This fear is palpable and is real, and Trump symbolizes grassroots awakening and resistance. So regardless, it's a sign of the awakening and of incumbents being in trouble and of people looking for real mavericks, even if they don't totally agree with them. So just to throw out these terms, I don't think proves the case against Trump. Go ahead.
Well, then we're soon going to find out. I mean, Obama already came out and said he's never going to get the presidency. So, you know, they're blatant in what they're doing now. You've already mentioned that. It's just all a sham, sucking us in. Yes, I understand everybody hates him, but that's all part of the sham. So we'll soon
really?
find out.
So Obama coming out saying Trump's disqualified, I'm God, I say who can run for president. That's not the arrogance of Obama and the media. When they tell us our kids don't belong to us, that's not meant to wake us up. It's meant to break our will. When they tell us we didn't build our business, that isn't meant to make us angry. It's meant to break our will. You have to understand, they're targeting the younger generation. And I disagree with you. I appreciate your call, Michael. Look, and you're allowed to disagree with me. I'm not mad at you for that. And, you know, maybe I'm wrong. But I don't think so. Because they are legitimately coming after Donald Trump, and they don't like the things he stands for, which is nationalism and not selling America out. Jim in FEMA Region 4. What former state are you in, Jim?
North Carolina.
All right, go ahead, sir.
I'm against you and Trump mainly because you won't push cop and court reform. You say that we can win in the courts. We cannot win in the courts. Most of us don't have a pot to piss in or when to throw it out. So we sure can't afford any freedom.
All right, well, let's just stop right there because I don't even know what you're talking about. So many people will call me and say, you don't talk about this, you don't talk about that, and then I even miss what you're saying. What are you talking about with the courts?
Win in the courts. We can't win in the courts. Take what went on in Ferguson. They had to get sued by the Department of Justice because they would not reform. And that only happened after the town burned down. Now, as far as who to support, I support sic semper tyrannis, violence to tyrants. That's the only way these people get off their hind end and do what they're supposed to do.
You mean death to tyrants?
Yes, most definitely.
Well, here's the deal.
And their minions.
Well, a lot of the people always talking about violence, I don't see them carrying it out. They're just usually cheerleading for everybody else to carry out violence. I'm trying to do everything I can to stop violence. They're funding Black Lives Matter that has some real beefs, but it's run by very bad people. And they're funding the whole establishment right-wing movement for police state. And they're going to collide the two together. And out of that have the synthesis of what they want. The courts have problems. And the system has problems. But people in Ferguson should get politically involved and run for office. And they're now doing that. Or do things like move out of the town. But I don't just sit there and look at Ferguson and then say that, you know, one side's right or the other side is wrong. There were problems on both sides in that situation. So there's a reason the establishment wants us to have violent confrontations. They believe they can spin that and win that. Okay?
What's going on in Chicago is because of, and you covered it very well, I feel, El Chapo being funded by our government. This is going on in many cities. They've got the courts. They've got the cops. We cannot beat them.
And then they dump the drugs on the streets. Yes, but not all cities are like Chicago.
Most major cities are. Most major cities are most definitely like Chicago. And
you think most major cities are as corrupt as Chicago?
Oh, most definitely, especially when it comes to the cops and the courts. That's how they policing for profit is.
Well, there's no doubt that there's no doubt that there's a lot of revenue generation going on. There's no doubt we've got big problems in our whole political system. But that is a reflection of the decadence of the American people and the laziness and the fact that we let corruption get into place. And all I know is the system wants a violent civil war out of which they bring basically a communist dictatorship with globalist offshore that administer it. And so I want to try to stop that and bring back a real alternative to it and have good cities and good states form coalitions to try to roll back corruption and bring back prosperity. And I think that really is the answer to this, but it starts with us individually. Don't you agree that the corruption is a manifestation of the decadence of the American people?
No, I do not. It's a manifestation of the corruption of the establishment.
Well, I think the fish rots from the head, but it's a confluence of that, sir. I mean, a lot of the public are really evil, servile, lazy creatures.
Negative. Our crime is low, Jones. You know that. That's the FBI number. That's not me saying that. That's the fact.
Well, it's true that compared to the 1990s, it's low. The U.S. has somewhat of a high crime rate compared to like places like Switzerland, but I would say that a lot of that's victimless now because of the Second Amendment. It was very frustrating to talk to that last caller, the last two callers. I'm going to go to more of you here in a moment. Because I've really studied history. I've studied sociology, anthropology. I've studied the technocracy. I've read the books and the writings of the technotronic leaders of the world. And I know what their admitted battle plan is. So all I'm saying is I'm trying to save humanity. I'm trying to have a future for my kids. The globalists are building a world, in their own words, where normal human life is over. It's a total revolution against the planet itself. It's an elite playing God. And I've done my research, and even 10 years ago, I wasn't like this. I talk about it, I get chills, folks. It's the devil, okay? And the churches aren't going to tell you. It is an alien force, not of this world, attacking humanity like the Bible and every other ancient text says. And you can read the Bible. It's hiding in plain view, folks. It's not of this world. I don't know exactly what it is or what it's doing, but this is not human intelligence, okay? It's not human intelligence we're facing. I refuse to fight with everybody. All the stupid racist white people, the stupid racist black people, all the stupid racist Mexicans, all of you. I can't stand you. You're idiots. We're under attack. Everybody's under attack. The elite hate Trump. Let me tell you, if he is a psyop, he's the most sophisticated one I ever saw. And even if he is, he's a revelation of the awakening, and they're having to pull this trick to try to divert us. Doesn't matter. It's part of the awakening. Humanity has got to get off world. We need access to the life extension technologies. Talk about discrimination. Forget skin color. I want the advanced life extension. I want to go to space. I want to see interdimensional travel. I want what God promised us, and I won't sit here and watch Satan steal it. That's the fight. That's the key. That's everything. The knowledge of the ancients, tried and true, trusted herbs and extracts fused with the latest nutraceutical science. Introducing the all-new Ancient Defense Herbal Immunity Blend, crafted with over 14 key ancient herbs and extracts to supercharge and prepare your body for what experts admit is the most dangerous season of the year. We have rejected hundreds of other formulations in our quest to bring you what is simply the most powerful and comprehensive proprietary formula that we have ever created in the realm of herbal immunity. For the last 2 years, our team has been working with top doctors, nutritionists, and chemists to develop the ultimate nutraceutical formulation. Experience the benefits of combining over 14 ancient herbs and extracts with exciting new advances in nutraceutical science. Now is the time to secure Ancient Defense for you and your family. Visit ancientdefense.com or call 888-253-3139. That's ancientdefense.com.
What do you think about the FBI saying that there was a terror alert on Monday about a potential Fort Hood situation?
The police are shoving people, shoving Alex, shoving the crowd.
Here we go, folks. I'm being assaulted. Whether it's the radio show, the news websites, documentary films, or the nightly news, Infowars is the tip of the spear.
Is this another false flag stage attack to take our civil liberties and put more homeland security while sticking the hands down on the pants on the streets?
It's up to us to set brush fires in the minds of men and women everywhere, and that's what PrisonPlanet.tv is designed to do.
You watch, the Assad regime is going to be blamed or accused of using chemical weapons against the so-called rebels.
What we see now is a war against reality. It's a war against the truth.
It's more vital than ever that supporters of freedom become members of PrisonPlanet.tv and share their membership with up to 11 friends and family. Visit InfoWarsNews.com today. Become a member, share your membership, and help take the InfoWar to the next level. Infowars Life and InfoWarsLife.com is extremely excited to announce our latest release, Winter Sun, a revolutionary type of vitamin D3. Winter Sun is a premium quality vitamin D3 nutritional supplement. It is produced by extracting oil from healthy, nutrient-dense plants known as lichens. Every batch is analyzed for purity and D3 content. It's completely free of toxins and allergens. Visit Infowars.com today or call 888-253-3139. Clean, pure drinking water. You can't survive without it. But where do you get it? Alexa Pure Pro is a brand new, groundbreaking, gravity-fed water filtration system that is like no other. The Alexa Pure Pro transforms water from virtually any fresh source into clean, healthy drinking water, pairing the unprecedented superfiltration power of an all-new gravity block core with a hybrid chromatic shell. It removes up to 99.999% of impurities, including bacteria, viruses, fluoride, disinfectants, volatile organic contaminants, and hormones. Filter capacity up to 5,000 gallons. Stainless steel construction. Easy assembly. Low maintenance. Replacement filters are simple to install. And now, as part of an exclusive limited time introductory offer, you can save $20 off the retail price and get free shipping. This is a limited time offer, so order your unit today and receive free shipping and $20 off. Go to InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139.
The Democrats and the corporate-controlled mainstream media have joined forces with the establishment Republicans to form an alliance against what has become their common enemy, and that is Donald Trump, who is clearly the GOP frontrunner and is on target to win the Republican nomination. And that, my friends, has both the left and the right in a total panic mode. Look, we've all seen the demonization of Donald Trump by the national media. I mean, he was never accused of being a racist until he ran for president. Trump's bigotry and pandering to win the support of prejudiced voters, well, it's a myth. It's a slanderous character assassination, all too common with the politically correct left. And if they disagree with you, they play the race card. And most Americans, we've had enough. I mean, we're getting sick of it. And most of the time when there is a disruption at a Trump rally, it is a setup. Remember the guy who showed up at a Trump rally who said we have a problem with Muslims in this country?
We have a problem in this country. It's called Muslims. We know our current president is one.
Well, that guy was a Democratic plant in Trump's audience. He's an operative, an agent provocateur, or whatever you want to call him. He's not a real Trump supporter. He's notorious for showing up at tea parties wearing Nazi T-shirts, while at the same time contributing to left-wing blogs and anti-Tea Party websites. He's a fake. He's a fraud. And he was planted there in the audience to make the average Trump supporter look like a dumbass and a racist. I mean, the mainstream media played this exchange over and over again on television, but they never revealed to the public that the guy was a fraud, much like the time Jeb Bush sent one of his own staff members to a Trump rally to play the role of a female antagonist. It was quickly revealed by independent media that she was planted there to frame Donald Trump, but that didn't stop CNN from framing the narrative.
Did Mom ever stare at you like this, Donald? And just when Trump thought it was safe to go on to the next question.
If you become president, will a woman make the same as a man? And do I get to choose what I do with my body?
You're going to make the same if you do as good a job, and I happen to be pro-life.
So there's your stereotypical hit piece from CNN. They refused to tell their audience that the angry woman there at the Trump rally was working for Jeb Bush. But wait, there's more. Let's have some fun with this because I've got some pretty good examples of anti-Trump propaganda lined up for you right now. Because nothing says I'm a racist like an endorsement from the Grand Wizard of the KKK.
Just this morning, for instance, he was asked about the fact that David Duke, former Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, had told supporters to vote for him, and this was his answer.
Will you unequivocally condemn David Duke and say that you don't want his vote or that of other white supremacists in this election?
Well, just so you understand, I don't know anything about David Duke, okay? I don't know anything about what you're even talking about with white supremacy or white supremacists. Honestly, I don't know David Duke. I don't believe I've ever met him. I'm pretty sure I didn't meet him, and I just don't know anything about him.
With an answer like that, you are either racist or you are pretending to be, and at some point, there is no difference there.
When he appeared on Jake Tapper's CNN show State of the Union and pretended that he wasn't familiar with the Ku Klux Klan. This matters because former KKK Grand Wizard David Duke recently encouraged his followers to support Trump.
If you're Donald Trump, why would a KKK white supremacist guy want people to vote for you? That's the question that Donald Trump needs to be asked.
There is a dark underside here, and Essie is right. He is whipping up and tapping into and pushing buttons that are very, very frightening to me and frightening to a lot of people.
But in Trump's defense, he did on Friday on camera and then on Facebook and Twitter condemn David Duke prior to not condemning him with Tapper.
Yeah, again, this is part of, the erratic nature of Donald Trump. And you notice the first time he disavowed it, he did it almost in an annoying way. He says, okay, I disavow him, okay? You satisfied? Almost like he was annoyed he was asked the question.
When he is playing funny with the Klan, that is not cool.
Are you starting to see a pattern here? I mean, they are going after Donald Trump big time. And none of the mainstream media, they don't seem to cover the fact that Donald Trump has disavowed David Duke numerous times. I mean, we're talking before and after the infamous interview with Jake Tapper. In fact, here's another provocateur planted in the audience, once again at a Trump rally. This guy's wearing a KKK for Donald Trump t-shirt. And Donald Trump, along with the entire audience, they demonstrate that they do not like or approve of this guy. Why? Well, because he really is a freaking racist. Or at least he's pretending to be. And where was the mainstream media when Hillary Clinton endorsed her friend and mentor, former Senator Robert Byrd, who is also formerly member of, well, you guessed it, the KKK.
My friend and mentor, Robert C. Byrd. Senator Byrd was a man of surpassing eloquence and nobility.
So there you go, Hillary Clinton supporting a member of the KKK, and not one word of it mentioned in today's media. And if being associated with the Ku Klux Klan and David Duke is not enough to persuade you that Donald Trump is bad, then why not compare him to Adolf Hitler?
I'd like to ask you about something you've been doing rather recently at your rallies, which is having your supporters raise their right hand and say, I pledge to vote for Donald Trump. Now, as you know, a still image of that at your rallies has gone around the internet, and some people have been quite disturbed by that image. And in fact, Abe Foxman, who's a Holocaust survivor, says it reminds him of the Nazi salute.
Honestly, until this phone call, I didn't know it was a problem. Almost everybody in the room raises their hand. We're having a good time. I never knew it was a problem.
I think it's also in combination, Mr. Trump, with some of the rhetoric you've used on the campaign trail over the last several months, targeting groups like Muslims and Mexicans, that evokes images of Nazi Germany and the scapegoating of Jews there.
And once all this rhetoric is played out on national television, that's when, right on cue, the rest of the media joins in on the attack. Trump is now portrayed as a racist on Saturday Night Live and on late night television.
My understanding is you want to clear the air because you think you're being unfavorably compared to Donald Trump.
Don't get me wrong, Conan. I agree with a lot he says. A lot. Like 90% of what he says. I'm like, this guy gets it.
Okay.
See there, as a result of all this, now when you ask the average person on the street what they think of Donald Trump, almost half of them, the programmed half, will say that he's a racist. That's why they call it television programming.
What we were able to do today was allow people to see his heart for themselves and to make up their own minds about him. And they find out that he's not the person that the media has depicted him to be.
Are you endorsing it?
I support Donald Trump, and everybody knows.
I'm Hispanic and I vote for Mr. Trump. We vote for Mr. Trump. Get behind the candidate, Mr. Donald Trump, that's going to do something for you. That's going to give you a handout instead of a handout, baby.
A lot of things that he said is true.
Wow.
The Mexican border.
You're Hispanic and you're saying that. Are you sure? Wow.
Now there's something you don't see every day, on TV anyway, because it goes against the controlled narrative that black people do not support Donald Trump. And as you can see, that is simply not the case. And it's hilarious to see the mainstream news media attempt to race bait Donald Trump, especially when it backfires. Watch this reaction by this MSNBC reporter, Tamron Hall, after she throws to a clip of what she expected to be of a racist Trump supporter, only to find out that it was a black gentleman named Frank Vick who endorses Donald Trump.
One of our reporters, and I don't want to quote the wrong reporter here, was just out at the Trump campaign. I think we have the sound, and my team will have to tell me, where they spoke with some Trump supporters. Let's play what they said.
David Duke and people like that, they come out from under the rocks all the time around this time this year. It got nothing to do with Donald Trump. We're all Americans. I think we need to stop with all the racist stuff and the race baiting. Like me and my friend right here, we just met today, we was talking. You know, we got to stop with the racist stuff and this, that. We all Americans, man, and nobody paying David Duke no mind.
Clearly, let me just be clear here. Obviously, the majority of Donald Trump supporters are not African American. I don't know how many African Americans were in that building, but that is one person that we have chosen to cut that sound from.
Brain Force is here. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been on this the last few months. You probably noticed I've been more crazed, more focused, less brain fog, more energy, more special reports, and it's because of Brain Force.
One of the worst things with most energy products is it's not sustainable, right? You're gonna crash and gonna feel really bad afterwards. This has a bunch of different antioxidants and compounds and polyphenols.
Everybody's on these drugs to knock their brain out because the brain's so fried.
We kept changing this formula over and over and over again until it became sort of a grand puzzle. For example, the L-theanine inside of it, that is activated by the different compounds in the yerba mate that we put inside of it as well. This just increases the compounds you already have.
This is what you're actually designed to run on.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a car will run on one form of junkie gas, but it runs really good on what it's designed for. You will find Brain Force, Survival Shield X2, and other game-changing products at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. Introducing Secret 12, the new Infowars Life vitamin B12 formulation. Most forms of vitamin B12 are highly processed and synthetic and could not be properly absorbed by the body. That's why for real results, so many are having to turn to painful B12 injections, which are known to have higher absorption rates. Now, InfoWarsLife.com is excited to announce that we can bring you our most bioactive, powerful form of B12 that has been developed with our exclusive perfected process. Secret 12 is a binary of nutramedical-grade, bioavailable coenzyme forms of B12, methylcobalamin, the same kind used in B12 injections, and Adenylyl cobalamin. Secret 12 is simply taken by mouth, right on the tongue, and then swallowed. No needles, no injections. Don't take my word for it. Try it for yourself. Discover the secret. Secret 12. Secure your revolutionary Secret 12 formula right now at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
What did you think about what happened at the Trump rally in Illinois?
I think it could have been handled a little differently.
Humans are weird. We need help. Trump, he's gonna die or something. He's not gonna be president.
I'm all for it.
I'm all for it. Donald Trump! It looked like a lot of fun.
I think it was a good deal.
Yes. So, like, do you think that was a violation of someone's free speech, or it was offensive, so shut it down?
I think the dude gets enough, time to talk anyways.
If you promote the energy of people like Sanders is trying to do, he's trying to promote the people. And I think a lot of people aren't respecting Trump for that reason, because he's all about turning down people and breaking up a country and stuff like that. And that's just something that...
Well, this is actually breaking right now. So one of the big groups that was behind organizing that 1,000 of people to come to, they're organizing the biggest protest of the century. Thousands of people are going to be walking for 10 days on the East Coast to demand Congress either bow to their demands, which is let the voters' votes count, get rid of the billionaire class, or get rid of Congress. Do you think that that's going to work?
I think so. I think action speaks loudest. I think people walking and putting their feet into the dirt, I think that makes the most sense.
Will you be taking part?
No, because it's not going to change anything. Money rules the world, and it always will, because humans are greedy people, and hopefully it won't be like that one day, but that's just how it is for now. So,
but you could change it.
I am going to change it, but marching, it's a good way to start. But
would I go? Absolutely, I would go. Yes, I would.
Yeah. Well, would you be willing to risk getting arrested to go if you thought this was gonna?
Well, sometimes again, being in the right place at the right time or the right place at the wrong time, it could happen.
Vote Bernie Sanders. Vote Bernie Sanders because he's gonna futuristically change politics.
Ooh, are you gonna go to the largest protest of the century? 10-day walk?
Protesting right now.
One rally ain't gonna do nothing for...
Do you think violence is a new form of protest, or?
Yeah, I think it is. I don't even think it's new. Back in the 60s, they used to do the same thing. I just think it's coming around again.
Things can only go so far, so the pot can only boil over, it's not gonna settle down unless somebody takes the lid off. So I feel like, people got to be heard some way or another. Look what happened in Chicago. I wasn't all for it because, like I said, I promote peace and positivity. But if that's what you got to do, you got to do that.
Donald Trump, I don't feel he's a racist, as well as I don't feel like African Americans are racist. I just think there's tension amongst our history, and there's no one way to solve it. So worry about your own life, you know what I'm saying? And if you like politics, then have your opinion. But if you're not into politics, stay out of it. Vote for who you want to vote for your beliefs, and things
don't go do violent things.
That's what I'm saying. You come to these protests on both parties, whether it be African American or Caucasian. Don't go with violence on your mind.
A lot of people ask me, why do you support Donald Trump? Well, it's simple. The establishment is scared to death of him for real. The private Federal Reserve just gave the majority of its money to Hillary Clinton, a small amount in political donations to Ted Cruz, and zero to Donald Trump. The Chinese Communist government comes out and threatens Americans not to vote for him. The Japanese government says they're scared. The Mexican government, the British government talks about banning him coming over there. The Democratic Party, the Republican Party comes out against him. Obama tells us he's disqualified. He's not allowed to run for president.
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
Now the Republican leadership's come out and said, we do plan to steal the election at the RNC convention. Never before been done. The establishment we claim we hate. The establishment we claim that we do anything to throw out. Just give us somebody with integrity. Is scared to death of Donald Trump, and still 20-30% of Republicans and the vast majority of Democrats sit there on the sideline because he's brash and he doesn't use cue cards. Isn't that what everybody's looking for? Listen, I disagree with Donald Trump on things like eminent domain and his interpretation of that and the whole iPhone controversy. But when you start looking at why the elite are so scared of Donald Trump, it's what makes me so confident in my support of him. He is against globalism and unfair trade deals that our criminal politicians are making to sell us out because they become the directors and the beneficiaries of those deals that sell us down the river. Trump wants us to have sovereignty, and he believes in strength and nationhood. He's a nationalist, and that's why they are against him. He believes in this country and does want to make it great again. I hope he picks up the slogan, "Let's make America free again," and starts coming out against more of the police state. But again, nobody's perfect. Now, George Soros, the famous Nazi collaborator, the guy that funded the Arab Spring and the overthrow of the Ukrainian government and more, who's been funding Black Lives Matter and their destabilization program around the country, they're coming out and saying they're going to organize, starting next month, just about a week and a half away, the biggest attacks on his meetings ever. They're coming to his free speech events to interrupt and take over the entire events. These aren't demonstrations. These are attempts to shut down free speech. And this new group has come out calling themselves the Democratic Spring. Remember, Al Gore called for an Arab Spring, but from leftists in America 4 years ago. And that's exactly what they want, a revolution to shut down our free speech with political correctness and to bully the American people into submission and open borders to merge us into a world government. Then Anonymous. Who is Anonymous? It's any group who wants to claim they're a white hat hacker coming out saying they declare total war on Donald Trump, attempting to get good hackers to join a fight against him.
Dear Donald Trump, we have been watching you for a long time and what we see is deeply disturbing. You say what your current audience wants to hear, but in reality you don't stand for anything except for your personal greed and power. This is a call to arms. This is a call to the freedom fighters, to the forgotten, to the censored, to our fellow hacktivists throughout the world. This is a call to protect our future, our freedom, and our very way of life. This is a call to you. We need you to shut down his websites. Research and expose what he doesn't want the public to know. We need you to dismantle his campaign and sabotage his brand. We are encouraging every able person with a computer watching this video to participate in this operation. You do not need to know how to hack to support this important operation.
I'm all for being anonymous, but to just say anonymous is the good guy and anonymous can be trusted. Anonymous is whoever they say they're anonymous. You could have a KKK Grand Dragon in there. You could have a Black Lives Matter, racist in there. And don't forget, it's Obama that said, if somebody brings a knife to a fight, you bring a gun. Yes, this is incendiary rhetoric, but it's protected free speech. And it's not Donald Trump's fault for his speech that people are coming and linking arms and saying, coming through, excuse us, running people over. I personally have had leftists do this to me when I was out covering an abortion rally, an anti-abortion rally at Planned Parenthood. They believe it's their right to trample our free speech. They are totalitarians. So to the abortion groups and to the so-called anonymous groups over at the Soros Foundation and over at the Pentagon, the American people see through this, the military sees through this, and more Americans are coming together against this tyranny. And we're going to have reporters out there in the field covering these Trump events and the attack on free speech. Even if you don't agree with Donald Trump, even if you don't like Donald Trump, now you've got to come out in support of free speech and support people's right to peaceably assemble and not have a bunch of brown shirt style thugs, Cicero 1933 Germany, show up and start fights so they can then blame free speech. Let's go back to Infowars Nightly News and the rest of our exercise of the First Amendment, because we're not going to let these bullies and tyrants shut down free speech. We're only going to exercise it more because it's just like muscles. If you don't use it, because it's just like muscles. If you don't use them, you lose them. So that's a message to all of you out there. Get out there and fight for freedom or lose it all.
And that's it for our show. I'm Jakari Jackson from the Infowars Command Center, and we'll see you again tomorrow night.
And all you ISIS people threatening us, hey, we're not a French newspaper, okay? We got people that have taken your asses out in this building right now. We're armed to the teeth, and we're not scared. You got that, you sons of bitches? This is Texas. You want to threaten me, you can go straight to hell. You understand that?
Never water yourself down just because someone can't handle you at 100 proof. It's the Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
Knockout is back. If you want a product that has 10 known ingredients that naturally get your body to relax, your brain to relax, so you get deep, restful sleep, Knockout's it. InfoWarsLife.com. L-theanine, hops flower extract, lemon balm extract, valerian root extract, chamomile flower extract, L-tryptophan extract, melatonin, and more. All organic, all the natural sources. It's the same price as leading brands of melatonin that are 3 milligrams a piece. It has 3 milligrams, the standard recommended dose for an adult, and it just synergistically puts everything in there. InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com, or call 888-253-3139.
You are watching the Infowars Nightly News, which airs 7 p.m. Central at InfoWarsNews.com. And your support is helping us defend liberty worldwide.